Welcome along to the Keith Andrews Show, episode 4 of this season. Now, we are a little bit late today, and our guest is going to explain why.
Hi, Keith.
Hey, pal.
Drop me in it straight away.
Straight in, deep end.
God, just a bit late up out of bed this morning. I had a late night last night. It wasn't nothing too sinister with that. I just didn't go to sleep till quite late. I wanted to get a good...
Little lion.
Oh, no, I wanted a good sleep because I know that you might be testing me today. You know, there's very few with these, you know, the off-the-ball presenters that test me out seriously. There's only probably you that could do that. So
there's a few more with ulterior motives than me.
Well, they've got ulterior motives, but they're not intelligent enough to carry it through for me. You know, that's the problem. But anyway.
Listen, we're glad you made it. We were making plan B, C, D and E up as we were going along because we couldn't get in contact with you. Right, we have to start. We're obviously Declan Rice. It's been going on all week.
Do we really?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Do we?
It's obviously unfortunate. He was, and I think we're both in agreement, was where he's going with us, I don't know. Talent-wise, he'll obviously be a miss. So we heard murmurs last week that maybe made us worry a little bit with Martin, the way he kind of mentioned, we'll just have to see. When we all kind of assumed that it was done with the comments that he'd made at the end of the season in particular, and Roy Keane had made, and soundings were very, very good, seemed to have settled in the squad well. And then those comments, they certainly worried me a little bit, but I still expected the squad to be naming him to be in it. Yeah,
I didn't. Do you know what, Keith? I probably, it went over my head a little bit. I didn't actually see it coming at all until I actually saw it was actually Nathan Murphy's tweet on Monday. I was just really on the bloody thing at times, but I saw Nathan Murphy's tweet. Oh no, Declan Rice. What's that saying? And obviously then. That was the first thing that I'd seen, and I was thinking then, there must be an injury and whatever it would be. He's not been playing at West Ham. They might want to protect him a little bit. And then obviously the news then has filtered through. I heard Gary Breen actually. I think it was Gary Breen on Saturday's Off the Ball. He was talking about it, saying, "There's nothing even to talk about here. Come on, let's move on from it. Let's basically
we've been there. We've
done it all before. Come on, let's just talk about the player that he is if you want. Yeah, fair enough. But this
hype and this nonsense,
this debate, it's not going to come about. So I thought it was nonsense. And then obviously the reality starts to hit home. And you mentioned there about the things that he'd said, that the messages he was giving out, the pride he'd taken in wearing the jersey. You know, I know it's really a modern day thing, kissing the badge and all that, playing in the 21s, that late goal that was scored at Tallaght Stadium for the 21s. And you're seeing this, singing the anthem, you're seeing all these, there's no issues. And what has changed, that is the thing. What has changed, I don't know. But Brinny described it as he feels a bit hoodwinked, and I'd feel along the same sort of lines of Brinny on this one. I can't get my head around it, and disappointed is probably an understatement. Yeah.
For anybody that's been under a rock for the last year, probably-ish, this lad has come through our youth teams all the way up, 16s, 17s, 19s, 21s in the last year. Did you work with him, by the way? Did you work with him at all? I was with the 16s, 17s, 18s. He was in the 19s at the time under Tom Mowen. I didn't work. Kenny Cunningham's obviously worked with him, and he would have been one of the first people that I would have heard spoke highly about him. And then within the FAI, the coaches, again, temperament, ability, every step he took along his development with ease. And then there was the whole kind of year ago-ish, I would say about 10 months ago, back to say last November, there was a little bit of silence around the whole thing about as he came to prominence when Match of the Day are doing features on him, obviously when he young English player, English-born player, plays for West Ham, plays well, straight on him, and then there was a little bit of silence, but then by the time March comes around, he's involved in the squads against Turkey, plays very, very well, one of the only shining lights, and then at the end of the season, has those couple of games. And after the Turk game, of course, went and played for the 21s.
Yeah, straight back in the 21s.
So character-wise, and didn't take it as what am I doing?
That said it all to me. That said it all to me. That gave a stronger message than anything else, that he was prepared to go back and play with Noel King in the 21s. So, given that they got a favourable result after that as well, it was just, everything was going so easy for him. He was on such an upward curve. And, of course, his reputation within the squad and around the squad, not least us watching it, I'm sure was growing with each time he was meeting up with the squad, simply for that sort of attitude. Outside, us looking in, the outsiders were like thinking, wow, what have we got here? This is incredible that this lad is actually prepared to go back and play in the 21s. So, yeah, as I said before, everything I felt there was nothing to discuss. It was always going to be. It was done. Done. Probably right. It's done. He's Irish. The comments that was coming out from the coaching staff around him as well, Martin and Roy. He's Irish.
Positive. All positive. There's no conversation to be had.
Yeah.
You were on commentary duty on Tuesday. I was in the studio with Brian Kerr, former Republic of Ireland manager, and he maybe had a slightly different angle. We're talking about where has this come from. So let's have a little listen, see what Brian had to say.
It's changed dramatically since all those lovely statements he made and the games he played. Remember, he played a match, in the international match in Turkey. He came back and played the under-21 match during the week. I was at the game. He was the best player, and he celebrated with everyone at the end of the match.
His dad went out to Turkey with him. He said he was fully committed.
And Martin has said that the jerseys are in a case at home, and all those things make me think something has changed dramatically. I don't believe it's the influence of the agents. I don't believe that Gareth Southgate, impressive and all as England were at the World Cup, that has changed him, because his statements are so certain.
So what is it then, Brian?
Well, I hope it wasn't something that happened when he was in with the team. I hope that there wasn't some incident. I mean, Martin recently confirmed that there were altercations between players and one of the staff with Roy Keane. I hope there wasn't any incident or remarks made to Declan Rice that affected his view of the Irish setup and the Irish camp, because he did seem so happy within the environment.
So when it broke, I instantly thought FA have been involved. They've tried to get him on board. They've been proactive.
Well, Gareth Southgate said that himself. He said he's on the radar. This is not new. This is months and
going
months
back
old.
months and months. And even underage, we've heard Graham Kavanagh come out and say his son was approached.
Yeah.
No done for him. Bang, he's Irish. That's it. End of story.
But he's not allowed to, though, is he? You know, he's not allowed to have that opinion. You know, Cav's son's not Irish, is he?
Don't worry.
England.
We'll
there we go on that. You know,
we'll get to that. Don't worry. We'll get to that. So instantly, I would have thought FA agents, clown chairman, co-owners of West Ham, having an opinion, chipping their nonsense comment into the equation.
Yeah.
Then Brian obviously thinks there's a slightly different angle, and and Martin's spoken about the altercations with Roy and with Harry Arthur and John Walters. As we well know, this type of thing obviously goes on. Yeah. But I made the point when Brian was talking the other night, well, if that type of behaviour has gone on with someone like Declan Rice, who we really wanted to make feel comfortable into the squad, and let's not forget, he's 19 years of age, so he's probably not.
He's still a baby, isn't he? Let's be fair, he's still a baby. I don't buy into the fact is that he's not old enough, he's not mature enough to make a decision on his future. You know, he wants to take that step away to make time for himself because he is still a young man. I take it. We both made huge mistakes when we were teenagers. You do that. You do that,
of course.
But no disrespect, I knew when I was 18, I knew when I was 17 what I was, who I was, should I say, where I was going to, what I wanted from the future or my future career, whether that be at club level or international level. That's where I knew that. So I don't buy that. There's a young man that can't make a decision.
Is it fair to say though it was easier for you your upbringing? So for me, it was never even a debate, obviously.
Yeah.
So for you, I would say, and again, like I haven't exactly had these in-depth conversations with the English-born players that we've played with in the England squad, but I would imagine you're in the minority. You've spoken about yourself and Gary Breen, that you were brought up.
David Connolly, Rory Delap, Alan Kelly, Alan McLaughlin. There's very few other than those names that just come into my head straight away there that would have chosen us. So
for the vast majority of others, England would have been plan A.
Yeah, and that's a fact, isn't it? We can't get away from that. That is a fact. The big thing, I'm even talking to Joe about it the night and off the ball, is I can take it to an extent. Okay, you've played underage level at England and you come in. I don't like it. Personally, I wouldn't pick them, and that is the truth. If I was given the choice, I wouldn't pick them if they played underage level for a certain country. But I understand you've made decisions at a certain age and you can change your mind, or you're not necessarily going to be progressing with that country. So I'll take it. Fair enough. I don't like it, and personally, I don't agree with it. But it's the rules, so it's there. And as you're stepping up, once you're hitting 21 level, if you've made that decision,
that you're 21 should be the cut-off point. You declare for,
without a doubt. I mean, I think younger personally, but anyway, that's open to debate. And I understand that sometimes you've made a decision. Tim Cahill was one who played for Was it Samoa? Was
Samoa,
it? Yeah,
wasn't it? He played when he was 14.
Yeah, 14 or 15. So, yeah, that's different. It is different to an extent. People are throwing the James McClean, Shane Duffy argument around that they played with the 21s, but it was different ruling. It was different ruling, and you know what? As well, that's probably a little bit more political as well.
I agree.
So, but ultimately, I'd be of the opinion, and I do feel strongly about it. I knew when I was called up for England when I was 18, 19. It was just a clear no. It was a no. I'm not English, sorry, but no, that's it. And I had Sam Allardyce breathing down my neck, putting me under pressure to play for England because of what it means to the club and financially to Preston at the time.
Did he put you under pressure? Because it's quite ironic that he's been coming out this week saying Rice should play for Ireland.
Sam had a pop, yeah. Sam
get 60 plus caps for Ireland.
Yeah.
When he might only get.
Yeah, in fairness to him, he stood down. He kicked me out of his office. Didn't want to talk to me. He made a big speech to us to say, basically on the lines of, "This is the proudest moment in my career. I've never had one of my." Sam was coaching me from when I was 14, so Sam played a huge part in my development. So when I was called up for England, he saw it as a feather in his cap that he'd coached a player that has come through a system. And we were League Two club as it is now, Division 3 at the time, bottom tier of English football. I was obviously starting to progress. So there's very few underage players that have come through Preston's system that have been selected to play for England. And I just said clearly no to him. No, Sam, sorry, that's not. And anyway, it was over his desk, and I thought he was going to headbutt me at one stage.
That would have been a powerful blow.
Yeah, it was, yeah. But and he kicked me out of the office. In fairness to him, he came down, he climbed down from it, and we spoke later on. It was fine, but that's how I felt at. I felt like, I say 10. I felt it my whole life. But once the Euros came around at 88, when I was, visually and I was, fully on board with 88 and 90, there was never going to be any going back for me at that stage, because I was actually seeing an Irish team qualifying for a major tournament, albeit with a lot of English-born players or British-born players that probably wouldn't have chose us as the first choice if maybe when they were 18, 19. That's the way that it is.
Everyone's been chipping in, as we know this week, us included. Been together the last couple of nights, and Richard Sadlier came out very strongly, in my opinion. We've got his quotes up on the screen. For anyone that's not watching it, monumental bollocks. You'd rather never qualify. I'm sure the point he's making is, I would like players fully committed to playing for Ireland, and that should be the base level. But allowing yourself a couple of weeks to think about it, to listen to all arguments, just maybe out of respect to hear Gareth Southgate, listen to your agent, listen to other family members, listen to whatever voices are in this conversation, listen to them all. At the end of it, come back. You know what? I'm going to stick to the thing that I always thought was the case. Now I know there's no sense in my head that I have rushed this or panicked because I listened to everyone. I've seen the whole board and I know all my moves, and in every scenario, this was the decision that made sense to me, so I'm going to make it. Give me the Irish jersey, call me up. Are you saying we don't want that outcome now because we had that little bit of space? Surely not. So we were together when we seen that too.
Yeah, you actually sent to me, didn't you? I mean, I hadn't seen it. First time I've read that, actually. I think it's a little bit disrespectful to me personally when that's the headline that comes out, monumental bollocks. Personally, I wouldn't want an Irish team qualifying for a major tournament if we had players that weren't committed. I stand by it. That's how I was brought up. I was brought up in a different time over in England when it was very different for Irish people growing up in England. You stuck together, basically. It has been said to me in the past, and again, I'm not saying I'm more Irish than you or anybody else, but I think over in England it was very different. It was,
especially in that time. Let's not forget.
It was.
Late 70s, early 80s, obviously before.
Yeah. Exactly. When my parents, particularly my dad went over with no education, working on the roads, and a lot of the lads working on the roads, tunnelling, digging roads, all these sort of things, the jobs that they would have had, they were targeted. They were targeted for abuse, and that was what made them stick together a hell of a lot more. I was brought up with that, and that was the message that was being relayed to me when I was going to. If I was going to the pub with my uncles, my dads, and all this sort of thing, meeting them, you were hearing little stories, little snippets, and. It did cement a degree of maybe patriotism that I don't know that maybe a lot of lads can't comprehend or can't take on board. That's what. I
don't know many people. I said this. I don't know many people that are better qualified to have an opinion on this.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And there's maybe a number of factors. Yeah, I think. Personally, I'd rather listen to someone like Gary Breen talking about it, maybe as you had a David Conley, Alan Kelly, whoever it would be, lads who have actually been brought up in an environment that was maybe I'm not saying anti-Irish, but certainly pro going to play, our environment, certainly coming through a system of professional football, we're pushed towards a certain way. I've known lads that, and I've spoken to lads who have actually played for England who said they would have preferred to play for us, that have got senior international caps that would have preferred to play for us because they felt as though they had more of an allegiance to Ireland, but they were pushed in a certain way at youth level.
And is this going back even?
This is going back 20, 30 years, yeah. 20 years when I first...
So even then it was happening.
Well, so 20, I'm not that old, it's not 30, 20.
Imagine now the pressure and the power the agents have now.
Yeah, you even see David Gold at West Ham. He knows full well, marketing-wise, he's worth a hell of a lot more to West Ham. It's worth a lot more to Declan himself. Yeah. So we're looking at all these sort of things. All I'm saying is with this is, and I you know, Richie, I like listening to Richie. I think he's obviously well-educated boy, but I think to come out with that statement straight away, I personally think it's disrespectful to me, and as a fellow pro as well. I'd personally think that. That's what I think. I would never. If I disagree with something that Richie said, I wouldn't necessarily come out with that statement to start with. I'd just say, look, I'm not having it, whatever it would be, and I'd try and make my arguments around it. I would rather not. And maybe it's an exaggeration. Maybe not. I wasn't certainly looking to try and get a few likes on a tweet that I put out.
Oh, I know, and I know you well enough that it was passion straight away.
I lost my head a little bit when I
believe
when I
me, here we are. What did you do that on Monday? Here we are on Thursday, we're 3-4 days on, and you're still feeling the exact same. It's not as if it was an impulsive reaction.
I'd rather we didn't qualify for another tournament if we had lads that were feeling like that. But another thing, Keith, and the thing that's something that's not really been talked about a lot. You know, for every time that I've been part of an international squad, you have had a similar sort of discussions with me. I've had discussions with other lads as well as a group when we've been within the squad. We've had lads humming and ahhing. I might go and play for Ireland if something's not going to go right for England. I've had it. We've had it. We knew we've had that conversation when we were part of the Irish setup, and I know for a fact what you think about it, and I know what a majority of the other lads, not necessarily all, I'm not saying that, but a majority of the other lads would not have it, would not welcome him back. They're saying, on you go then, thanks very much, we don't want you. We do not. I didn't want a Jamie O'Hara. I didn't want a Jamie O'Hara.
Mark Noble.
I didn't want these lads saying, more so Jamie O'Hara. He was the one because he was actually coming out saying, look, if I can't get in the squad for a certain tournament, I might declare for Ireland third line. On your bike, mate. Get out of here. Get out of town. I don't want that.
But then, okay, then what about and I've already mentioned, I do think you're in the minority, and you've mentioned Gary Breen, you've mentioned David Connolly. I do think you're in the minority. And a lot of
I take that.
Right?
And I do take people's opinion. I do. I understand fully.
So when you say...
I'm fully aware that I'm stronger on this than probably most. I understand that.
And then when you say then, you're okay as long as players are committed. So we would have always said, and you would have been involved in the Ireland teams for a lot longer than I was, but we would quickly recognise who was committed, who was doing it just to get their career along. So, and I'm picking a name out here. Someone like Liam Lawrence, for instance, right?
Yeah. I heard you talking to him last week on your show last week,
So he's been on, I think he was a very popular member of the squad, came in, settled very, very well. Irish roots, have to be honest, don't know. Don't know what his Irish roots were, but I would say that when he came in, as soon as you suss him out as a fella, his work ethic, the way he's going about things, does he fit into the group? I didn't have a problem with that. Where would you stand on someone like that? And again, I don't mean to just pick Liam as a but the principle
I understand what you're saying, and I know where you may be coming from. Yeah, he came in, played very well for us, played in some big games for us.
You're saying ideal world, not for you.
No, he's not for me. Sorry, but he's not, and that is the truth. That's how I feel about it. And it is, you know, even the tweet that I put out, I've had so much stick from different fans. You're English, you're born in Preston. Who are you? Whatever it will be, and all these sort of things that have come back your way. Lads that saying, look, if you're born in a certain country, you should play for that country. And you know, there's arguments of there's so many. You can't take someone's dream away from them. If you want to play for a certain country and you feel that you are a national of that country, then no one should ever take that away from you. Yes, born in England, fine, take that on board, no problems at all. But all I wanted to was play for Ireland, so no one can take that away from me. So I'm not having that argument at all. It's you are who you are. You are what you are. That's what I would feel. But lads who you know, we've got a policy maybe with the FEI where we're going in the underage structures, and you've been part of the underage structure, you're getting lads, and there's always like, oh, this lad can qualify for us, it's great, you know, his granny's from Tipperary, his granny's from wherever, you know, great. Personally, I think we've got more of a responsibility to be developing our own, rather than pinning our hopes on players over the water that might not necessarily be committed further down the line.
How do you know at the age of, you said I've been involved, how do you really know? I know if they're fully committed.
I'm not saying that policy is wrong. I'm not saying the policy is wrong, because you understand that we got Ed McGeady on board at 15, 16. He got a senior international cap very early, and he probably wasn't ready to. But we got him capped, and he was showing so much ability when he was such a young lad. We had to get him capped because he would have been called up for Scotland, and we knew that. But I just think that if that policy is flawed. Because you're going to, you could get your fingers... How do you
get around that, though?
You're going to get your fingers burnt further down the line.
Because with Rice as a prime example, all the way along, absolutely devoted to the underage teams, never missed it, attitude impeccable, a real desire, singing the national anthem. How can you foresee
that's a rarity. This case, particularly with the commitment that he's shown and everything that he's spoken about.
By the way, Grealish, when you speak to a lot of the staff at the FAI as well, was the exact same.
And
again, the one thing that I would suggest they have in common, very, very different personalities, but the one thing I would suggest they have in common is they shot to prominence in the Premier League, and then things changed.
Yeah, exactly. Big FA Cup game for Grealish, of course, wasn't it, as well?
Wasn't at Wembley.
But the difference is that Grealish didn't play senior international football.
Of course, yes. So this is a step further.
So this is a massive step further. And it's not once, it's 3 times, isn't it? So you simply just don't play the first cap. And then have these doubts in the back of your mind. And maybe even something that Richie's saying here, give the lad a bit of chance, give him a bit of space to make a decision. I'm sorry, I can't accept that. I really can't. He's had plenty of time in the last 6 months, year, 5 years, whatever it's been, to know where his career is going, which path that his career is on, or the path his career is taking, should I say? And you know full well that decision is going to come, or that question is going to be asked somewhere down the line. If you are playing well, look, what would you do? What would you do?
So what are we thinking? Are we thinking it's England, summer, good World Cup, manager in charge who's looking to play in a way that would very much suit him? Are we thinking money? Are we thinking financial gains?
Change of agent, apparently in the last few months.
Is it all those? Is it us going through a bit of a struggling time at the moment? I think it's gone past transition.
Yeah, we've both come through the system over in England. We know how it works. It's geared towards English national team with a lot of young English players, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Declan Rice within West Ham's academy structure is considered English. Then that's the way that I would look at it. And it may be up to Declan to give out a different message. Say, look, I'm not English, I'm Irish. That's how I felt. Again, he probably doesn't feel like that way. He doesn't feel that way. Simply doesn't feel that way because he's made this decision now. If something has gone wrong, if what you've alluded to there, maybe even from what Brian's saying, if something has gone wrong, if there's something internally that's upset him, that's the only way he can come back from this scenario. If he makes a statement and comes out and says, something's gone wrong, I've not been happy with this, I've not been happy with that, whatever it would be, that's the only way back for him. Because personally, I'd never pick him again. And I would never, ever have him near an international squad again.
I think it's still open. And we were chatting about this the other night, that it wouldn't sit well with me at all. I know where you sit on it. But we were chatting the other night about this, and I think he would be accepted, no problem at all. Back in, staff, a couple of good performances by fans. I think they would get over it quick enough. And I think within the squad, if you go back years ago, I think there's probably, I'm going to sound like old
I'd expect grovelling. I mean, serious. I'd expect maybe phone calls, texts, whatever it will be, and maybe even some sort of statement. I wouldn't accept it. I personally wouldn't accept it, but I would.
What would you do though?
It'd have to go a long way. I'd probably talk to him. I'd talk to him and say, what's the story? If I was part of that international side now, if I was Seamus or whoever it would be, Shane Duffy, whoever it would be, maybe one of the more experienced lad, even a John Walters, whoever it would be, I'd be on the phone to him. I'd ring him up and I'd say, what's the story here? I would do, and I think you give him that respect as a colleague, as a professional, to have that conversation. What's your decision here? Why are we actually doing this? Then at least it becomes clear in your mind that if you are going to accept him back into the fold, if that would be the case further down the line, you've heard him out a little bit. Yeah. That's what I would be doing in this position here.
I do think he can come back in if it pans out, but I don't think it'll happen. I think it's done now.
I don't think he can, but if he were to come back, if he were to come back, I think there would still be an element. There would be a few. There would be a few within the squad
disgruntled.
Not unhappy. Yeah, there would be, without a doubt. But I'd say there'd be quite a lot within the squad that would have sympathy with him.
I think one man they certainly wouldn't be happy with James McClean. He came straight out and support of your tweet saying, "Bang on, lad, representing your country should be an honour and a proud moment." I don't think any of us are disputing that. But he would be certainly one of those types where you think it's not going to sit well with him.
Well, exactly. I mean, he's been criticised himself, James, hasn't he, in the past for playing at under 21 level as well. I spoke about that earlier. It is different. He said maybe he abused the system as well, I think, within something that I think he posted something on Instagram, say he abused the system a little bit, really, to further his career, without any intention of ever playing for Northern Ireland. Ultimately, yeah, I think we know James. We know the way. We know his stance in the last few years. He's faced so much criticism from so many fans.
Some of it deserved, I would suggest, and some of it far from deserved. With James,
in what way deserved though? What in
like he's hot-headed by nature.
Oh yeah.
Things that he does. And
I mean, he's got
yeah,
but he's got a belief. The main issue where he got. I've been to games where he's getting booed by his home by his own fans, and it's simply because of not wearing a poppy.
Yeah, obviously.
And I've said to you, I've said this, and I may have said this as well online. When I was a kid growing up at school, my brother came home from school with a poppy on. My mum nearly beat the head of him. I'm serious. She get out.
Did he not realise?
He didn't realise he was a kid. He was about 5 or 6 in school, and they were giving them out in the school. Never ever come into my house with that again. That was. So you look at the message that was being relayed to me from a kid. Yeah. He's in a different environment, total different environment to me. So I get that totally. So, you know, for all that, I'd be respectful. I've worn shirts in the past when I was playing over in England with a poppy on it. When, you know, I've got to respect maybe my club. I've got to respect the league I'm playing. I've got to respect that. Yeah. But James
you have to
felt so strongly on that. Of course, I've got to respect him. I totally respect him for that, without a doubt. Yeah.
Right, we're going to move on a little bit to Martin O'Neill. He's caught up with Joe last week, talking a little bit about the preparation for games, and obviously we've got certainly one big game coming up.
Well, my reason fun enough, I was asked a question today. Why do you announce the team just an hour before kickoff?
I was going to come to that.
All right, okay. Yeah. Announce it. Well, I've always done that for a start, you know. And aside, I did that the night that we played in the UEFA Cup final for Celtic against Porto, who went on to win the Champions League the following year. There is a difference. There's a difference in the sense that there's two things that are really important here, and it's really simple. Brian Clough is a great manager, fine. Alex Ferguson, one of the great managers of all time. Alex Ferguson he was there at training all the time. He didn't interfere at different stages. I know he was dealing with world-class players, but he hadn't got world-class players available to the moment he walked into Manchester United, and he had time. He needed time to build up, but you're talking at club level now for a start, and that's really important. First of all, you have to do your job, but before you do your job, you have to know your job. And if you could ask any player that has played with me at club level, ask any, and even players that I fell out with, and there would be one or two. I think they know what their job was. I think they knew what their job was, and then it's a matter of doing it. So, if you're talking about somebody not knowing the side, there's a fairly decent chance that at least 8 of the players will know that they're going to be playing for a start. It's a fairly decent chance that 8 of the players will know their position. It's a fairly decent chance that 8 of the players will know what is expected of them. And 1 or 2 players who might not know, I may have told them the night before that they're playing anyway in the game.
So that was Joe sitting down at FAI HQ. You used to be a frequent visitor today, didn't you?
Abbottstown. Yeah. I've been up there once or twice actually. I've not been up there regular enough now.
To see the Duff now?
I see the Duff, yeah. I've got to mention the Duff.
That's not a Damien Duff, that's a different Duff.
Yeah, Pat Duffy would invite me in. Yeah, he's a very good friend of mine, Pat. But no, he doesn't invite me in anymore. That's it now. He's gone.
The Johnny Giles golf days
gone on to a different level.
That?
I think I am. Yeah, probably playing
okay,
that. Yeah,
good. Yeah, we've gone off tangent there.
Yeah.
But Martin's sat down with a lot of journalists in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That seems a big change to what we've been used to. Probably realises the relationship with the media wasn't particularly good, maybe making more of an effort. But the points that Joe was making to him there about the preparation for game, and look, I think it's been fairly well known that Martin doesn't name his team up until an hour, 90 minutes before a game, whatever it is, when you get to a stadium, or possibly just before you leave from the hotel. Like, stick to your island managers. When did they name the team? We always kind of knew under our time during Trapp's reign what the team was going to be. The whole country knew. Was it different under the other managers had for Ireland?
Injuries maybe sometimes did prevent a manager naming a side. Predominantly it would be the night before. I seem to remember. Sometimes it was under certain managers. It was maybe the day of the match, but it was maybe it was maybe 3 or 4 hours before the game. And again, that would have been maybe an injury that would have dictated that. So it would have been
carrying on,
exactly checking with the medical staff to make sure. So pre-match meal would usually be 3.5, 4 hours before a game. So we'd usually have a meeting around the end of that pre-match meal or just after that, and that would have been when the team would have been announced latest. So you'd be getting on the bus. You'd certainly have a couple of hours to prepare yourself once you get on the bus. And then you're ready to go.
Right, so take.
Do you know what? This is not a big issue to me. This team naming stuff. It's not to me.
It would be to me.
Yeah, it would be. I'd prefer to know. I would prefer to know. But
would you prefer to know if you're playing or not playing? Which would be more important for you?
That's a good question. I'd probably prefer to know if I wasn't playing. And you know why that would be? Because a lot of the times you have family coming up to games and things like this as well. And that it's a factor. It does factor in on it as well. Luckily enough to majority of the time I was starting games as it was, so it was kind of maybe you're asking the wrong man, I suppose, on that one.
Different at club level, I would suggest, because at international level, I think there's more of a responsibility to. I'm getting at, if you're not playing, to be. You cannot be a negative influence around the.
And we've had that. We have had that. We've seen that. I've seen that as well.
More so at club level, I'd say.
Yeah, more so at club level. But it's been around the international setup as well. I've seen it going back to the 90s, late 90s, when I first got in the squad, right through the lads that weren't involved, had a little chip on the shoulder, got the hump quite quickly, and there will be a bad influence around the training, even after the match. I'd say 90%, 95% of the time. Everyone wants to play. We all know that. We all want to play. But 95% of the time, lads are always good as gold. Took it on the chin, and we're very supportive of the team that we're going out to play,
If we have a little look at the squad.
You know, I've said this as well, Keith. It took me till on Monday evening, about 8 o'clock. I was amazed to actually see the squad. I was that animated around Declan Rice. It was bloody... And I'm thinking...
I was the exact same.
And I thought that, geez, who's in the squad?
Yeah.
I didn't even look.
So we go goalkeepers. Colin Doyle still in after his move to Hearts. Sean McDermott. Interesting one. Yeah. Playing in Norway. Yeah. He started at
Do you know much of him, by the way?
No. He's played for our 21s, but I haven't seen him play. Scouts have obviously been busy or whatever. Kieran O'Hara.
Saved 3 penalties the other night for Macclesfield. I think he's playing Walsall
from United.
Yeah, so that's great for him. He's coming in with a real high at the moment.
It's important for him because he's played for the 21s. He's obviously highly thought of, and it's important that, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I think you're probably singing off the same hymn sheet, that he's better off playing at Macclesfield for. So you look at that and you think, Macclesfield.
Yeah.
He's better off at Macclesfield than that saying Manchester United, because he's not at Manchester United.
23. Yeah, exactly. You've seen enough 23 games. I've watched 23 matches, and it's chalk and cheese compared to league football.
Dan Randolph, 4 clean sheets in a row.
He's having a good season. Spell. I watched the game. Were you on Sky Friday night? Was it Friday? Middlesbrough on. They beat
West Brom 1-0.
West Brom 1-0. Good game. Good. It wasn't a great opening attacking game.
Never gonna be with.
But it was a great game to watch. I thought that. I like watching them games at times. I do. I'm a bit of an anorak like that.
Well, I don't think a lot of people appreciate that type of game. What people want now, because we've become spoiled by highlights, the way Barcelona play, the way Manchester City play. There's a lot of people out there that cannot actually appreciate a rigid back 5.
Yeah, and the work that goes into making that.
Yeah. Like, that's not just
team,
a fluke.
Yeah, I know.
Like, Tony Pulis gets a lot of criticism, and I wouldn't say I criticised him, but the complaint I made about Middlesbrough last year was they were so one-dimensional, because they had Traore, who's gone to Wolves, who we'll touch on later because you were at their game last week, and everything was Traore. They're a better balanced team now, because he's out of the equation. But defensively, that work that he does on the training ground, which can become monotonous, become a little bit repetitive,
if you're around it and you're
boring.
having that, you imagine the lads that's been in that Stoke squad for 10 years, whatever it will be.
But 4 clean sheets in a row, and we're only 5 games into the season. these lads will get moves off the back of that.
I know. It is.
So they don't really appreciate.
He's enhanced careers without a doubt. He's enhanced careers, not least his own, but he's enhanced players' careers. He's got them great moves off the back of it.
More so defenders than attackers.
Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true. Yeah.
Defenders wise, we've got the usual suspects in. I don't know whether anything particularly stands out to you.
No, I think Seamus has made a great start to the season. Cyrus Christie was in Fulham's side at the start of the year. Yeah. Matt Doherty I saw playing for Wolves last week. Shane Duffy scoring his first Premier League goal, great. Saw Kieran Clark at Cardiff last week for Newcastle, played very well. Stephen Ward has been playing a bit on the left-hand side of midfield, hasn't he? Yeah. Certainly in the European games for Burnley. And then it's, as you say, Greg Cunningham again. Great move from Preston North End. Had a brilliant season, or brilliant seasons. A lot of injuries last season, but. Great move for him to Cardiff, so I hope he gets more game time this season.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And I think Darrell Lennon should be mentioned as well. I like him a lot. He's another one who.
You've seen a lot. You've mentioned. I've not seen an awful lot of him. I have to say that you've seen
bad
more
injuries. Very, very unlucky. Beginning of last season, 3-4 games in, I think it was a back injury. And if you watch the way he plays, people say you can't tackle in this day and age. Watch this fella play. He loves a tackle, sets the tempo, can alternate between centre half and central midfield. I think he, especially with the Blackburn, have started quite well. If they can get up in and around playoffs, in and around that, he'll certainly be on a lot more people's radar. And obviously, with Declan Rice not in the squad,
opportunities now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Midfield, Alan Judge, a little bit frustrated at Brentford, not particularly getting in at the moment.
It's been the case with him really since returning from that injury. He played the cup game this week. He was captain actually the week before last. I can't remember who they beat actually the first round of the Carabao Cup. Captain the side, but he's just not been getting regular football over the last year, has he? But it was great to see him score in that USA game, wasn't it? I was delighted for him seeing him scoring that.
We've got Conor Hourihane not featuring regularly from the start anyway. Jeff Hendrick, Alan Brown, Shawnee Williams I'm really glad is back in the squad.
Yeah, he scored in midweek as well. Sean Williams, goal for Millwall.
And Aidan O'Brien as well.
And Aidan O'Brien,
but Shawnee Williams I would suggest, with Rice again not in the equation, that opens up a little chink of life for him in that holding midfield role, because when you look at that squad, we've seen Alan Brown last year against Turkey playing a holding midfield role, and you know better than me, not his position.
Exactly,
box to box.
I think he can actually play there. I saw him. I had him. Well, I had him. I had him at Hull when I was coaching. He was only 16 at the time, and he's actually a fullback or a centre midfield. Preferably centre midfield, but we saw him that we could have played as a right back as well. So I think he can play that way. I just think he's the way that he's developed his game, he's a box to box, so he can get forward. Yeah, I think he can do that though. I do think he can do that.
I don't think he can do it yet.
When he first got into Preston's team, albeit in League One level, that's where he was playing. He was playing in a 2 as a holder with a little bit more licence to get forward off the back of that. Yeah. But with Preston, with Alex Neil, he plays him as a 10. You're the supporter, like Jeff Hendrick plays at Burnley.
Exactly. I've likened them two before, to be fair. But I think Shawnee Williams, with his range of pass and the experience that he has, glad he's in it. I think if he does end up going with a 3-man midfield, it may well be between him and Myler for that holding midfield role, maybe.
I do like Myler as well. I say Myler's another one that maybe gets good, but I think you know what you get with him. I think he can do a job. I think at times when he's been caught out of position, it doesn't necessarily have the real pace, I think, to cover the ground. But I think discipline-wise, I think if you get a disciplined job from him and say you sit there, I think Myler could still have an influence on that squad in this campaign.
As an ex-winger, what do you think of our wide options? We've seen down through the years, we've seen Walters play there, we've seen Jeff Hendrick play out there. What type of system he's going to go at next week against Wales, obviously we don't know. We're light up front before we even get onto that subject. So wide players, I suppose you're looking at James, McClean, O'Dowda, Horgan, and Robinson, I would suggest as well. He's not really a striker, is he?
No, personally, I'd see him more of a wide man. He's not a prolific goal scorer. Callum Robinson, I've seen enough of him for Preston. More of a supporting role. He's played as a 9. You'd say it's a false 9 at times. He's definitely, if Preston play 4-6, he's basically got a responsibility from a defensive point of view, with a view to breaking off that. So. It's an interesting addition with Robinson coming in relation to the wide man. James will definitely start. James McClean will definitely start. O'Dowda's one. It's just when he first came in, he played the game.
Down in Turner's Cross.
That's the one. Yeah, we were at the game in Belarus. Yeah, and he looked great. He looked very good. I'd heard good things about him playing in the 21s as well. But it's just not quite happened for him, has it?
Yeah, his development, I think, has just been a little bit stuttered. doesn't it? He goes a little bit, shows us a little bit, then maybe goes back to Bristol City.
Wide man.
It doesn't quite happen where he maybe selection, a couple of injuries, little knocks, whatever. But I think if he can sustain it, I would be swaying more towards him. We had Daryl Horgan on the show last week.
Which side? On the left?
I think he's adaptable, to be fair, and I think we've seen him play as a 10 as well.
Yeah.
But I think he can play either or. Yeah. I think James is better suited on the left, isn't he? I think you leave James on the left.
I wouldn't move him from there myself. No. I think when James has had the responsibility of playing as a wing back, I think his natural game is to go forward. I think he's switched off defensively. So I think I wouldn't like to give him that responsibility. I would say he's always going to work back. He's always going to make these tackles. He's always going to get involved. But his responsibility primarily is saying, look, just get forward, get crosses into the area, try to maybe get on the end of a few crosses at the other side and cause a nuisance. And that's the position I would like to see him playing. Yeah.
Forwards, Johnny Walters. I mentioned when he decided to play on. I thought, thank God. Even at the age of 34, nearly 35, looks like, I don't know whether it's been made official, going to Ipswich on a loan until January, which is good news for us because he's going to get up to speed.
Great, yeah.
Shane Long wasn't in the matchday squad first game of the season. I was at Goodison a couple of weeks ago, came on, made an impact from the bench.
That's good. You
started the next one. But again, it's about playing. Graham Burke, is he an out-and-out striker? No, I don't think so. He's one of the three behind, and I think he's been playing from Preston.
Amazing things about him from Preston. Great things. This lad has got the ability to really go on and be who he wants to be, whatever he wants to be. If he gets the head right, gets everything right. Shea was the first one that mentioned to me. He was at Villa with Shea, and Shea said, this boy finishing is incredible. I am just such a natural finisher. One touch, bang, everything. We've
seen our Preston a couple of times. The left foot volley has got the headlines. Did you see the one where he showed the composure to take it on his right foot, let the defender go on his arse and just scoop it into the top of the net?
He's got ability.
And the USA game, I've made the point that, look, when you get an opportunity in these games where a lot of people and press and fans even to a degree look at, it's USA, make something of it. He, I thought, did everything he could to affect that game.
I think he's got something. I do.
He looks like an infectious character.
I haven't seen Preston live this season. I saw the live game on telly against Stoke actually, but I've not seen him live yet. I was due to go to the Bolton game this weekend, but I can't get over to it. But I want to see him. He's not been involved. Alex Neil has left him out the last couple of games. He scored against Stoke and then he left him out, which was surprising enough. Yeah, it was surprising. He's not.
He's been playing from the right.
Yeah, he's been playing on the right hand side. Yes, yeah. I think he likes to come inside. You see, if anyone saw the finish against the Stoke game, because it was on telly, it was just natural. As you say, it was natural.
Wasn't it?
Let it hit him, just stroked into the net. And this is the sort of messages that I'm getting. Yeah. So I'm hopeful of him. I'm hopeful of the season. Alex Neil's a defensive-minded manager. You can't get away from that fact. So he might have to adapt his game to get game time. But I think his natural ability is going to get goals within it. And hopefully then we get Sean Maguire back in there as well down the line.
Well, that was a massive blow, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. No, just signed his new contract.
Year, yes.
Really impressed. If you look at his game time and his goals to game ratio, game time ratio, it's phenomenal. Yeah. First season in England, it's unbelievable. So at Preston, they were expecting this season from him to be. They were going to play him as the main man. He was going to be the main striker. Of course, the players have left the club in recent times at Preston. So it was basically they were making the gap for him to go on right, go and be the main man, go score 20 goals this season for us. And he had the ability to do that.
That's what they're bringing a mate on loan, wasn't it, from Man City? They needed somebody for that.
Which could just hinder him again. It's another one, isn't it?
He might get shifted now to one of the other positions rather than.
So it's Alex Neil has got that within him to say, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you game time, but I might not necessarily be playing you as a 9 where I think he'll get goals in that side.
What are we thinking then? Again, we've mentioned very difficult to call system wise. What's he going to go with in Cardiff?
I think probably it would have to be, you mentioned the 3-man midfield, a 4-3-3 type of system, which automatically becomes a 4-5-1 off the back of it. I can't see him not playing Shane Long. Simply in this game, more than ever, we have to have legs. Because we probably won't have a lot of the ball. They've got particularly with a Bale, they've got a better squad of players than us, particularly in midfield.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
So we're going to have to get numbers into midfield to stop them getting too much possession, dominating the ball and then creating chances off the back of that. And also it's going to be in their mind, don't forget that they have got a little bit to prove against us as well after the James McClean goal. So.
Would Declan Rice and Jack Grealish make a difference to that midfield?
Yes. It's just a fact, isn't it? It's no doubt about it. You know, the way, certainly with Grealish in the last year, the way that he's played at Villa, Tottenham heavily linked them as well. Of course it would, without a doubt. And I think they've both certainly if you're watching Grealish as well, Grealish has developed his game in a way where Bruce is such a pragmatic manager. He defence first, but he's found a way to get the best out of Grealish, to say, well, look, you're a free man, you're going to have to produce something. And I think, the way that we play now, how defensive-minded we have to be at times, we do sit deep. Who's our outball? Who's our ball carrier?
It would make a massive difference.
We don't have too many ball carriers in the team. James McClean apart, maybe.
That's why I asked you about the wide areas, because I think we're lacking.
Well, that was always maybe, whether I play...
Strengths, wasn't it?
Was
one of your strengths to be able to...
Strength was just to
drive
pick
forward,
up the ball and carry us 50 yards up the pitch. I'm not necessarily saying it was always with supreme quality at the back of it, Keith, but it was. That was my game as a kid. It certainly was. Even coming through at club level, I didn't have too much of a responsibility defensively as a kid. It was, look, you pick up the ball, you might get him one-on-one against full-backs, go and beat him, but certainly if you've got space, take us up the pitch. And that's what it was under Mick as well when I first got into the squad. That was definitely the message that was being relayed to me.
But obviously they're not available. The wide players, look, we're not saying this is a crisis, but we're just saying, and we're not.
Well, you mentioned wide areas and up front. Where's our creativity? James McClean will start. We've not got an awful lot of outside him and up front. We're still going to be reliant on John Walters. You say that John Walters at 34, Shane Long. Where's the goals going to come from? Where's the real creativity going to come from? And we are going to struggle in the next while for goals and creativity.
What I want to get across is we're not sat here like two old pros going, oh, this is a crap squad, this is that. The points I'm trying to make is, right, we know we haven't got these kind of players playing at certain levels and all the rest of it. But then it becomes even more important the way we're organised. And the other end of the pitch, where I do think we've got good foundations, and we spoke about Tony Pulis, what he does with a back four, back five, whatever he goes with Darren Randolph behind it, coincidentally. Make them hard to beat. Give them protection in front of that. And that's the way we're going to go. I'm fine with that.
I don't mind that either as well. I don't mind if we're playing in a certain way that's going to get results first and foremost. And it will get better with time. That's the thing, because it's the foundation. You're getting the fundamentals right on a pitch,
and confidence grows.
Exactly. As soon as you start to keep a few clean sheets, Shane Duffy has gone to the level now that I expected him to go to, and I'm not just saying that because I spoke so glowingly about him last year prior to that Wales match, but he's gone on to the next level now. That it was said to me from David Moyes probably 6 or 7 years ago, this lad, when he gets to 26, 27, when he's approaching 30, he will be a top-class centre-half. So you watch him, and he's made mistakes in the early part of his career. When he was at Yeovil, when he was on loan at these places, he's made mistakes, even at Blackburn.
Played against him at Yeovil, and he was raw.
Yeah.
He was very, very raw. He went for too many balls, left gaps in behind him. Now, he still obviously makes mistakes, but
he made
he's playing
mistakes
at such a high level.
Remember we played against France at the Euros, trying to win the ball too early.
Too much responsibility.
And now all of a sudden he's starting to... He's getting better, and it's just game time that you've got.
He's like our Richard Dunn, isn't he?
Yeah, without a doubt. We both likened him to Dunny in the past, haven't we? And that's where he is,
Well, one manager who's had slight issues with centre-halves has certainly been Jose Mourinho. We caught up with Daniel Harris on Manchester United. Here's what he had to say.
I think the club's a mess. The Glazers are interested in taking as much money out as they can, and that is not always conducive to having a winning team, because, as I think we spoke about this last week, if you gave Mourinho unlimited money, would United necessarily win the league? No. So at that point, it makes it a very expensive gamble to even try and win the league and try and fund the team in the way that it's necessary. Then you've got Ed Woodward, who was significantly involved in the appointment of David Moyes, who appointed Louis van Gaal. That was a failure. Who appointed Mourinho, who's done a fair job until this point, but doesn't look like he's going to be able to do the next bit of the job. Who's denying the manager signings that he needs, that it was obvious that they needed. Then you've got Mourinho himself, who looks like he's not that arsed, who looks like he doesn't know what the answers are. And then you've got the players who aren't that good and aren't putting it in either. So there's no real single area of the club that is functioning in the way that it needs to. If you've got a player like Paul Pogba in United's team, to stick him in front of the back four, given less good players in front of him, just makes no sense. And it's not getting the best out of your best player, and that's the manager's job. And it's the job of the board to give the manager the players that he needs to enable him to feel secure that he's able to do that. And one of the reasons Paul Pogba plays in front of the back four sometimes for United is that Mourinho doesn't rate the back four, and he's still using defenders that Fergie had, who probably weren't even good enough then. So it's, as I said, there's plenty of blame to go around and no need to be sparing. No one comes out of this looking good. Everyone comes out of this looking like a dickhead, and that's like it doesn't have to be one person's fault. And this desire to find one cause for something that's more complicated than that is not just something that's wrong with football, something that's wrong with lots of other things as well.
So Jose, throughout the summer, Kev, as we know, has been, I want this player, I want that player. A lot of names mentioned have been centre-halves. So as this is going on, I'm thinking, if I'm in that dressing room and I am Eric Boy Lindelof, who he has bought, we should mention, or if I'm Phil Jones and Chris Smalling, who he's had for 2 years and hasn't made better at all, like, what are you thinking? Yeah. He doesn't get the players, and then next of all, you're playing first game of the season, first couple of games, same back forward, then he changes it to Smalling and Jones for the Spurs game. And I don't know about you, but I could see the pressure on those players. And we go on about confidence within football, sport in general. It makes you a better player. You go onto that pitch thinking, yeah, I'm having it. There's nothing better than knowing your manager's having you. There's nothing better than knowing everybody has belief in you, but ideally a manager. And when they're making mistakes, which is inevitable, he hasn't made any of them better, I would suggest. All he wants is the finished article. Yeah. But like, you can see the pressure that they're playing under, and they make a mistake, and obviously the cameras are on Josie on the sideline. Well, I told you to sign someone. I told you to sign Harry Maguire.
That is a problem, isn't it? When that message is being relayed back, isn't it? Constantly.
It's horrible.
The system he used the other night was very strange. I thought it was almost a back three at times. Ander Herrera sat in.
Strange position.
It was like a defensive role with a responsibility to try and pick up a Dele Alli or an Ericsson if they were coming into his area.
That inside left channel.
Yeah. It was a strange one. It was so often through that game. United looked like they were playing with a back three, and then at times you'd see Herrera burst forward and he was like over and up and running. And it was a strange one. It was a man-to-man marking job again from Ander Herrera. I just think that maybe again highlights the issues that he's got. He doesn't fancy his back four of defending against three players.
Yeah, but Kev, for a defensive coach, take signings out of the equation. We Spurs, they would have played tonight, didn't make a signing, as we all well know. Yeah. And we haven't heard this from Pochettino. We haven't heard moaning. We haven't heard going on to the press about this, that and the other, and about slagging Daniel Levy off. He's just gone on with it.
He's bigger than everything else. I'm Jose Mourinho.
He's sulking. He wants this, he wants that. He hasn't got it. Yeah. You've got a squad of players there, and I always find that if you
would they have the biggest budget in the Premier League? I would say they do.
Fair off. If they want a player, in terms of financially, they get him. Look, they got Alexis Sanchez over Manchester City in January. It was
highest paid player in the Premier League, is he? What, 350, 400 grand a week?
If you are with a coach for a sustained period of time, you should improve, right? And it's not always the coach's doing, because I would have said in my early 20s, I wouldn't have bought into everything, blah, blah. But so sometimes you have to look in the mirror. But what players could you say at Manchester United have improved under Mourinho?
Alexis Sanchez.
Lingard has won, probably because he's had the opportunities, he's grasped it, he's gone for it.
Matic did well last season, but he's not necessarily improved. We saw that at
Matic,
Chelsea,
isn't it? He gives them that steal. But players defensively, and he's a defensive coach, let's not forget. Has he made them defensively better? Of course, they had a good record last year, but individually as players,
I'd say
maybe seeing who's improved.
I'd say maybe Lukaku, for the fact is that you go to Man United, there's a lot of pressure on him going in for that fee. Yeah. With the expectations every week, expectancy that he has to score goals, and he has done that. So I'd say Lukaku, given what it would take in his position, that's a big one for him. But Lingard, I'd agree with. Rashford, who I love him, and this guy he's like a shadow of what he can produce and where he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, even under Van Gaal. He was just such a breath of fresh air, watching his ability and seeing him be able to beat players, run off the shoulder defenders. He just seemed to have everything to his game. Finishing was always first class, getting into positions. Now, he's not even in position to score goals. Martial's another one.
We see glimpses of it, don't we? So, for instance, the second half against Manchester City, when everyone's gone, wow, this is what this Manchester United is capable of.
All was lost then, wasn't it?
Yeah, but like that reminded me of a few occasions where we've produced performances like that, and it goes against the grain, but it shows kind of what you are capable of. And I think Rashford falls into that category.
Yeah, I know.
Is he enabling him? Is he getting the best out of him? Don't even get me going on the whole.
Luke Shaw's been playing well this season. I'd say
Shaw was quality tonight.
Shaw was quality. Shaw was the way that the game actually started. There was a lot of mistakes in the first half. It was very evenly matched in the first half. United probably looked the most threatening to me in the first 20-25 minutes. But everything was all the threat from United was coming from Luke Shaw. Yeah. He was the one getting forward. He prepared to run forward, pass forward.
Looks lean, fit, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, and he started the season very, very well. But he's the only one I would look at within that side that can realistically think I'm performing well now,
Right, the other side of Manchester, you were at City, at Wolves.
I was at the Saturday. Enjoyable game, brilliant game actually, Keith. I really enjoyed it. Just for everything that I was expecting to go and see a real good attacking Wolves performance, and it was a different Wolves performance. It was different from how.
So before you tell me about the game on Saturday, I'm going to tell you what my thoughts were about Wolves coming into this season and maybe some problems that they would have.
Made some notes for you today.
Did you? Lovely. So last year it was very much a back three. They were on the front foot. Matt Doherty played as an absolute right winger, 4-3-3. So they still had full back winger kind of in wide areas. That
3-4-3, you mean?
3-4-3,
yeah.
So that was very much it. So going into this season, I felt, well, they're going to have to get used to being a back five at times because, especially against teams like Manchester City, what way would they set up? Would they be very, very compact? Would they be able to frustrate? And would they be able to defend? Because they had to defend last year, but they dominated a lot of games last year.
Yeah.
What way did they set up on Saturday?
Well, the first couple of games of the season, you watched them, they dominated the ball, even the games. Everton went out 10 men, perhaps slightly different. Leicester dominated the ball, but Leicester play like that anyway. But they've gone 65-70% possession in both those matches. This was a total opposite, 30% possession. And he spoke in the lead up to the game, the coach Nuno Espirito Santo, saying, look, we're not going to change. But what I liked about him in this game, he recognised, look, they're better players than us. Clearly they're better players than us. How are we going to affect this game? City changed the system themselves to try and counteract. City had played 3 at the back the week before. They went back to a back 4. Yeah. So they sat in, essentially it was 5-4-1. That's how they played. Matt Doherty.
So like Rafa did with Newcastle on
exactly what it was.
Sunday.
Exactly what it was. They had Johnny Otto that was playing as a left wing back. So the two of them just sat in, really got out in the first half. So Moutinho and Neves sat in front of them with they had Helder Costa and Diogo Jota, as you pronounce it, isn't it? Yeah, those two were sat in, but those two were the key players. Costa and Jota were the two players that were key.
So the turnover of possession.
How quickly. Jimenez impressed me. He's very mobile. He went through a lot of the game without many touches. You probably look at it the weekend as strikers are judged on touches so often these days, which is a lot of crap, obviously not having it. He had to work hard and stretch City. Vincent Kompany was terrible for City in the first half. He was awful. But what they did, they sat in, as I was saying there, and it was immediately on a turnover, get Costa on the ball and get Jota on the ball. Yeah. Costa caused so many problems for Mendy. Mendy couldn't deal with his pace. Seriously, he couldn't deal with his pace. One-on-one positions he went at him. Mendy was brilliant getting forward.
He wasn't actually a major player from last year. He came the year before for Wolves, played a lot, showed glimpses. Last year he was very much second fiddle. He was more of an impact player, but you did feel he'll come out. Let's not forget, he came for 13.5 million into the Championship. Neves 15 million. So we all know they've spent some serious dough. But when they were trying to find those, was it okay, win the ball back, play straight to them, or did they use those two in midfield, Neves and Moutinho, to recycle it? Did they have to show that composure to them?
Neves and Moutinho were excellent, I thought.
Neves is a player, by the way.
Yeah, he's a player. Both pass forward, Keith, which how many times we see that? Negative passing, pass back to where you've come from and all that, but they pass forward. Yeah. So what they were doing immediately on a turnover, they were saying Jota and Costa set off almost, trying to find space. You could see even head movement around them on the pitch and finding space, knowing full well I'm going to be able to get forward. Mendy invariably was playing so high and wide, so was Kyle Walker.
Couldn't get back.
So Fernandinho was trying to drop in deep alongside Laporte and Kompany to try and make that 3. Yeah. So obviously the space is in wider areas. Okay. So immediately then the passes were going into Costa or Jota and they were driving forward. And then you were getting support from Matt Doherty from wing back.
How did he play?
Play well defensively, very well. He didn't really get a chance to get forward much because of the way that they played. But the amount of chances they created off the back of this system, there's not too many teams that I've seen play against Man City that create the amount of chances that Wolves did. And it was a change of style, as you say, the way that they've played, dominating possession. They didn't dominate the ball, but they found a way to create chances in this game. And then late on in the match, so Helder Costa went off late on and he brought on
How quick is he, by the way?
So Costa's quick. I'm thinking he's outrunning Mendy, and then they bring this fella on.
Unreal, isn't he?
One-on-one against Mendy. Mendy was all over the place. So Mendy is great getting forward, and I love him. I love Benjamin Mendy. I love everything about him. But he's going to struggle defensively because there's a lot of balls. They were playing on him. Wolves were playing on him
because they know
playing over the shoulder. He couldn't pick up the flight of balls. He struggled defensively. He did, but Traore, bloody hell! I mean, this boy is like he's a whippet, isn't he? Yeah. Unreal.
Phenomenal. And Matt already defensively happy enough.
Very impressive. Yeah. Very, very impressive. He's not going to get in ahead of James Gold. The one thing you say to him as well, and I think I said it the week I was talking to Joe about Matt Doherty. because he has that versatility, because he played a season at left back, it could be a position where he could maybe go on to try and go up against Stephen Ward. We have had Dennis Irwin in the past that have played as a right-footed left back.
For him.
Seamus is not going to be moved for the next campaign or two, is he? Let's be honest. So Matt Doherty's simply not going to get a game.
I mentioned it before, though, Kev, at the USA game, I'm sure it was, where I felt a little bit Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier type relationship would have been nice maybe to have seen Seamus as the right side of a tree, because we went with a back three and Matt Doherty.
Could Matt Doherty play as the right side of the three?
No, I think I prefer Seamus. Right, but then obviously you're taking away from what Seamus does in the final third, which is obviously very, very effective.
I think Seamus Coleman's more direct from Matt Doherty from what I've seen. I think, given how he went at the weekend about things, I don't know if I'd be tempted to maybe try Matt Doherty. I think he's got better. I think physically he's stronger than Seamus. Taller, he has the aerial ability as well. I don't know. I think it's a close call, but I might be tempted to play that way. If you're going to play three at the back, maybe stick Matt Doherty inside and use Seamus' strength of the wing back.
Yeah. Be interesting to see what system he goes with. Okay, so I'm at Leeds against Borough. We've already mentioned Tony Pulis. Have you seen much of Leeds?
You love them. I saw them in the cup game. I saw them in.
They've been quality. Kev.
I'll have to get more of my notes here now for you, Keith.
One of the games that they weren't actually that effective against Swansea. They still nicked the draw. Very much coming into the season, everyone's going on, he's going to play this 3-1, 3-3, 4-9-7 system, ridiculous kind of tactics. But the way he has them playing, honestly, Kev.
You love him, don't you?
Yeah, well, I just think it's a good story. And look, we both know how big of a club Leeds is. Historical stadium, that it's still the exact same as it was 20, 30 plus years ago. It just oozes history when you go to Elland Road. And I think for a long time they've been kind of hopeful. Like, let's not forget, the first 7 games of last season, I think they were top of the championship, then it just fizzled out. The year before was Gary Monk. No, you're fine.
Yeah.
But he's come in, huge reputation, and straight away, bang, he's got them playing.
Yeah.
Got them playing. And it's not tactically revolutionary. What he's got them is fitter than last year, sharper, playing a 4. I think it's a 4-1-4-1 system, okay? Because Calvin Phillips sits and patrols. Fullbacks, as we know, you mentioned Mendy going high, wide.
I liked him, Calvin Phillips.
He's done well. Well, last year he was a bit of a box-to-box type player,
the game I saw him was Lewis Baker. Lewis Baker played in there, but real box-to-box player. Loves to get forward. He's the one with the responsibility to get in. It was Patrick Bamford.
He's on loan from Chelsea.
They made a lot of changes. Don't get me wrong. In the game that I saw, it was a cup game against Bolton, but the options that they've got in there, that's the thing. Calvin Phillips, it seems to me that he's the one that's going to be key for Leeds, how they're going to play this season, because he's going to allow those creative players. Saiz is the other one as well, that he's got a bit about him, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. But like, the only thing I would say about them, and Leeds fans are going, all right, whatever. Can they keep it up? Can they keep the intensity up?
It's fair to say.
Saiz, Hernandez, Alioski, are they solar powered? You know, when the lights go back in October, where are they going to be? Are they going to be turning up at Rotherham in January? These type of questions. But you would have to say, so far, so impressive the way they've gone about it. An absolute joy to watch.
Yeah.
But they're going to come up against a Tony Pulis team tomorrow, so they are going to have to do the ugly side of things.
It's about, you know what he's going to do? He'll sit in deep against them. It's like a 0-0 draw now to start with, warning Tony Pulis.
Well, both top of the table, five games, both of them on 13 points, started very,
I wouldn't rule out Middlesbrough in this game. Simply the fact is, he'll sit in, and it's how you're going to get out from that. How is he going to create problems for Leeds off the back of sitting in deep? And it could be a set piece, it could be a few other things that could dictate this, but I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case here.
Well, it was 92nd minute last week, 0-0, looking towards a 0-0 draw against West Brom. West Brom couldn't break them down. Borough had better chances, but set piece.
Yeah.
Second phase of a set piece, keeping it alive. Suspicion of handball. I actually thought it was a handball from Ayala. Get the goal. Again, set pieces, Tony Pulis, ugly side of the game, underappreciated side of the game. They just do it so well, don't they?
Yeah, it is, and that's Pulis, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've all seen his sides over the years as well. It's another good game. We love both of the championship as it is. I'll try and watch it whenever I can. I do see your mug on the face on Friday night, so it's great to see. It's great to see the Barnet in full flow, and more so the gear. Someone actually said to me the night that you actually. Someone said to me the other day, they went, "There's only one man that's more stylish than you, and that's Keith Andrews." And I said to them, "Let's be fair, I'm not stylish, and there's only one man that takes more time with his wardrobe than you, and that's Keith Andrews. I take no time with my wardrobe. You obviously you overthink it, Keith." a little bit in my mind.
I just put a bit of thought into it.
You're well dressed and you look good.
It's not just like
and the bonnet looks well.
That.
The bonnet looks well.
Need a little trim.
You're looking well. Maybe a slight trim. You're looking good. It's all well.
Cheers, pal. Yeah. Okay, we've got a new section on this week. It's called Dear Keith. You ready for this?
Come on, hit me.
Because I don't know whether I am.
Hit me.
Okay, we've had...
Whose suggestion's this, by the way? I love the suggestions that come from the team.
Do you want me to name them?
Of course, yeah. Name and shame.
Adrian Barry's suggestion. So
I tell you what,
if you're not popular with it, get in touch.
Adrian likes to make out he's super intelligent. He likes to make out he's a top broadcaster. He's none of the above. But
really?
He's not. He's average at best.
He's your boss.
He's management material. That's what he is. He's management material. He is. Brings very little else other than actually a shoulder to cry on at times. That's the way that I would see it. But anyway, go on. Sorry.
Okay, so we've had a letter in. It's not a tweet. It's not an email. We've had a letter in. It's Dear Keith.
Someone's role.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Love
that.
Yeah. I'm a professional footballer in my mid-20s. I've fallen out with my manager, and I feel like I've nowhere else to turn. Being there. We've been together just over 2 years. Well, we often fight. We've always managed to patch it up, but lately it feels like we're just drifting apart. Yes, this is a footballer. I'm in my prime now and feel like I'm giving him my best years, but I'm really starting to question whether he fully appreciates me. He's also jealous of my relationship with my best friend, Mino, but Mino has always been there for me. I can trust him and I don't want to shut him out of my life. I still love him and deep down I know he loves me too. I'm so conflicted. Please advise. And that's from Paul in Manchester.
Come on.
So, what do you think?
Who sent that?
Paul from Manchester.
Is that true?
That's Paul from Manchester.
Get out of it.
So Paul's clearly got a dilemma here. He's having a little bit of conflict with his Manchester.
Well,
maybe he's not playing him in the right position.
Well,
maybe his international manager might be playing him in a better way.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's just a sulky little git.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's whether that is actually legit or not, but we would have all been positions in throughout our career where you've not had a great relationship with the manager.
Nope.
Young lads listening, or young professionals, young girls and boys, I suppose, as well, coming through systems and managers not necessarily playing you, say, that in the position that you want to play in. You're not quite happy with it. It's happened, hasn't it? How many times have you seen it? The only thing, any sort of advice for young players as well when you're coming through systems is you've got to basically just keep the head, try and get on the pitch, try and get in the starting 11 and impress in maybe the position that you're not necessarily comfortable in. And I think when you impress in a position that you're not necessarily comfortable in, or the position that you feel as though you should be in, I think that goes a long way to showing the character of the player. Respect for the players, more so from the manager and the coaching staff, without a doubt.
Okay, so
I look forward to listening to a bit of Dear Keith.
Dear Keith next week again.
I might send you an email. Okay. See if you can.
So if anybody wants to get in touch,
you might be able to advise me in certain aspects of my life.
Emails,
Keith.
tweets, just if you want to go anonymous, just let me know. Okay, unfortunately that's all we got time for. Yeah, it's flowing, isn't it?
That was good fun, that.
We've gone a little bit over actually. Okay. So you can watch back on YouTube, get the Pod on Off the Ball show, stream if you enjoyed it, share, I'll tell your friends. I'll be back a day earlier next week. On Wednesday, the day before the Ireland-Wales game. We'll look forward to that. But Kev, thanks a lot.
Good man. Cheers, Keith. Thank you.
See you next week.